In this video, we are going to start to look at timers, and we're going to use a one-time timer for this example. And this example is our FAQs application that we've been working with. However, I want to point out that on the index page for our FAQs, we've added this field set. Okay, and the field set has a legend that says our terms of service have changed. And then it has a message in a paragraph that says you'll be redirected to our terms of service shortly, or you can accept our new terms of service to stay on this page. And then we have an accept button coded right here. And the reason I'm showing you this now is because I'm not going to have very much time when I pull this up to let you see the example. So I'm going to open this in my default browser. And here you can see that field set that we've added to this application that we've seen a few times before. But you can see after 5 seconds, it automatically forwarded me to the terms of service. And then I can click the accept button on the terms of service page. And it takes me back to the page, but now that field set is gone. And I also want you to notice that up here, we have accepted equals true in the address bar, and that's going to be important. Let me reopen this application. And when our terms of service comes up, if I press this button within 5 seconds, it automatically accepts the terms of service and hides it, and then it hides the field set. So let's take a look at how this actually works. So we have 5 seconds to accept the terms of service. Otherwise, it takes us to the terms of service page, and we can accept the terms of service from there. So let's take a look at how this happens. So let's look at our FAQs.javascript file. And I want to talk about two things. For a timer, we have two different methods that we can use. We have a set timeout function. And that function, let me see if we can find it down here. Right here, we have a set timeout function. And we're setting a timeout, and this is 5,000 milliseconds, which is 5 seconds. Okay, so there's 1,000 milliseconds in every second. So we're setting a timer for 5,000 milliseconds when we do this spot. And after the 5,000 seconds elapses, it calls the go-to-terms function. So let's look at the go-to-terms function. The go-to-terms function is right here. When it gets called, it just sends us to a new page, window.location href, and it sends us to the terms.html page, which is also right here. And it's just got some lorem ipsum in it to save space, and it's got the accept button. And when somebody presses the accept button, it changes them back to index.html with this accepted equals true option set. All right, go back to FAQs.js. Okay. We can also see we have an event listener set for our accept terms button, and that calls this function called accept terms, and set accept terms clears the timer. So we use clear timeout. So we have set timeout and clear timeout. When somebody clicks the button, it will deactivate the timer by doing the clear timeout. And in this case, it will hide that class that has the field set in it with the message. So let's actually look at what happens when the page is initially loaded. So we have our DOM content loaded here. Most of these events we've seen before. So go to terms and accept terms are new. These are the current events to if they click on the H2s that expand and collapse the FAQ section. We've seen all those before. But in DOM content loaded, we have this constant called I that looks at the address. And it looks in the address to see if that word accepted is in there. And if it doesn't find it, the index of that word that gets returned, if it doesn't find it, will be -1. So that constant I will be set to -1. So if it doesn't find that we've already accepted terms in the address bar, then it does this check. If I is equal to -1, meaning it didn't find the accepted clause in there, we set the timer for 5 seconds. And after 5 seconds, it's going to call go to terms. Now, I do want to point out that our timer was declared up here as a global so that all these different functions can access it. Okay. So if they haven't already accepted the terms, we start a 5-second timer right here with this line. If they had accepted the terms, we're just going to hide that field set section that we saw. Okay. So if they've already accepted the terms, this will hide it. Otherwise, it starts a timer and you have 5 seconds. You have 5 seconds to click the accept terms button. If you click it, it clears the timeout and hides the section. If you don't click it, it calls go to terms, which takes you to the second page, which is terms.html. And then you stay on that page until you click the button saying that you accept the terms. And once you do, it takes you back to the original page, but sets accepted to true, so that when the page reloads, this constant will not be equal to -1, and it will hide the terms because it knows you've accepted it. So really 2 functions here. Set timeout to start the timer, clear timeout to stop the timer. When the timer elapses, it calls this function, and it all works together to force the user to accept the terms before they can actually use the rest of the page.